There's a trait of working hard, which is one of the core values of Woodward Academy and instills into people. You folks have advantages that people in typical high school don't have, because you have people here who care about you and who have helped you with values that other kids don't get. So in many ways, you're really more fortunate than, if you will, regular high school kids, whatever regular is. But working hard is essential to success. You see, there's no magic bullet, microwavable popcorn, or instant pudding that's the formula for success. There's only one way to do it, and that's to work hard and plow through it. There is no lottery winning for success. There's only the hard way. One of the most important traits of success is maintaining a good attitude. An attitude is something that frames how we look at the world and how we look at events and how we look at things. You take one event, two different people, and one person will say, oh, that's terrible. And another person will say, that ain't nothing but a thing. Which would you rather be? I'd rather be the latter. People with good attitudes live life with positive expectations and understand how to use those positive expectations to help them succeed. They are highly committed to what they do, and they are infectiously enthusiastic. They are ready to embrace change, and they understand that change is inevitable except from a vending machine. That was another joke. Thanks, guys. I'm starting to feel a lot of pressure here. You're not laughing. People know with good attitudes that there's a price for success, and they understand that sacrifice and understand that there's no such thing as instant gratification if it's done right. There's two choices: short-term gain for long-term pain, or short-term pain for long-term gain. And I'm here to tell you the latter is worth it. People with good attitudes and positive attitudes are positive in everything they do and truly believe at the core level that miracles can happen to them. At the end of the day, it's your attitude and outlook and perception that will determine how life and events in life will affect you. The truth is that life is not fair, and no one gets out unscathed. So feeling sorry for yourself when bad things happen, or getting angry at other people, doesn't solve problems. And believe me, I'm talking from experience. Things are going to happen, and there's going to be no logic for them. And asking, why did this happen to me? Why did this happen to me? May be a perfectly logical question, but there's probably going to be no answer. So there are really two types of people in the world. Those people who've experienced adversity and those people who will. I want to read a short story about a person named Michael who exemplifies the true benefit of having a good attitude. The story I'm about to read is shared by one of his friends and is as follows. Michael's the kind of guy you love to hate. He's always in a good mood and always has something positive to say. When someone would ask him how he was doing, he would reply, I would have to be twins to be any better. He was a natural motivator. If an employee was having a bad day, Michael was always there and sharing with the employee how to look on the positive and bright side of any situation. Seeing this style really made me curious, so one day I went to Michael and asked him, I don't get it. You can't be a positive person all the time. How do you do it? Michael replied, each morning I wake up and say to myself, you have two choices. You can choose to be in a good mood, or you can choose to be in a bad mood. And I choose to be in a good mood. Every day something happens, I can choose to be a victim, or I can choose to learn from it. Every time someone comes to me complaining, I can choose to accept their complaint, or I can point out the positive side of life. I choose the positive side of life. Yeah, right, it's not that easy, I protested. Yes, it is, Michael said. Life is about choices. When you cut away all the junk, every situation is a choice by the individual. You choose how you react to situations. You choose how people affect your mood. And no one can make you feel any way that you don't allow yourself to feel. The bottom line, it's your choice how you live your life. I reflected on what Michael said. Soon thereafter, I left the communications tower industry, which I was in, and started my own business. Michael and I lost touch, but I often thought about him when I made a choice about life instead of reacting to it. Several years later, I heard that Michael was involved in a very serious fall, some 60 feet from the communications tower. After 18 hours of surgery and weeks of intensive care, Michael was released from the hospital with rods placed all throughout his back. I saw Michael about 6 months later after the accident. When I asked him how he was doing, he replied, "If I were any better, I'd have to be twins. You want to see my scars?" Well, I declined to see his wounds, but I did ask him what had gone through his mind as the accident occurred. The first thing that went through my mind was the well-being of my soon-to-be daughter, he said. Then, as I lay on the ground, I remembered that I had two choices. I could choose to live, or I could choose to die. I chose to live. Weren't you scared? Didn't you lose consciousness, I asked? Michael continued. The paramedics were great. They kept telling me I was going to be fine. But when they wheeled me into the emergency room, I saw the expression on the faces of the doctors and nurses. I got really scared. In their eyes, I read, "He's a dead man." I knew I needed to take action. "What did you do?" I asked. "Well, there was this big burly nurse shouting questions at me," said Michael. "She asked if I was allergic to anything, and I said yes, gravity." The doctors and nurses stopped for a minute as they waited for my reply. And over their laughter, I told them, "Look, I know I'm hurt, and I know I'm hurt bad, but I'm choosing to live. So operate on me as if I'm going to live and not die." Well, Michael lived thanks to the skill of the doctors, but also because of his amazing attitude. I learned from him that day that we do have choices to fully live life or to not live life. Attitude, after all, is truly everything. The final trait I want to talk with you about today is that of integrity, or always doing the right thing. You see, success with integrity is really tough sometimes, but I'm here to tell you, success without integrity is impossible. It is impossible. There's a short story about the eagle and the wolf that best explains the great battle between good and evil that rages inside of all of us. And it is as follows. On one side is the soaring eagle. Everything the eagle stands for is good and true and beautiful. It soars above the clouds. Even though it dips down into the valleys, it lays its eggs on mountaintops. On the other side of me is a howling wolf. And that raging howling wolf represents the worst that's in me. heeds upon my downfalls, and justifies himself by the presence in the pack. Who wins this great battle? The answer to that is the one I feed. And it's my choice who I feed. So gentlemen, what I would ask you to do is to always feed your ego and keep your wolf at bay. And that will serve you well in life. In closing, I want to again congratulate you, the graduates of 2011, and to thank the Woodward Academy for inviting me here today and allowing me the privilege of sharing with you. Please make sure that you thank the people at Woodward Academy who've helped you make this day possible. They're here because they care, and I hope that you recognize that. The best way that you can honor them is to do well in life. In that vein, I wish you all the best of future success and good health. Thank you.